We all know what happens when I put the hat on in the middle of the podcast and then I take it off and then I futz with my hair a whole bunch and nobody wants to watch that. So hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Hilo Stitch podcast. I am your host Kristen and I'm here to talk to you about what else? Knitting. I will also be talking about all things knitting and yarn related and maybe not so knitting or yarn related. So if you don't know me already, my name is Kristen Janik. I'm a semi-retired knitting pattern designer, knitting instructor, and all-around knitting enthusiast. I am podcasting to you from the very rainy, cold suburbs of Washington, D.C., where I live with my husband and 2 little boys. When I am not knitting, you can find me sewing, watching baseball, doing yoga, drinking wine, but it's mostly about the knitting, so let's go ahead and start talking about it. Welcome back, everyone. It has been a few weeks since I have done an episode of the podcast, maybe even like a month. So what I'm mainly going to focus on today is the gift knitting that I'm doing because I am recording this on the Thursday before Christmas. I'm not done. Several gifts. And, well, let's just get into it. Let me start with the ones that I have finished. Okay, so I have managed to finish 2 hats for Christmas. These are both gifts. This one is for my dad, and this one is for my youngest son, Ollie. So I will start with this one since I finished it first. This pattern is called Winters Fern. I do not remember the designer, but I'll put it on the thing here. And of course, we'll have links to everything in the show notes so that you can find it. So this is a worsted weight colorwork hat pattern. I want to say it has 3 or 4 sizes, and I kind of just threw this color palette together from some yarns in my stash and some leftovers. So this color here, this is the Knit Picks Simply Wool Worsted. I don't remember the colorway. All of the colorways are like Winkle and Winnie and Wilford, and I don't remember which is which. They're all very similar because they're all natural colors. And that is left over from the Jaji pullover that I knit my dad and designed several years ago. The yellow is Hudson and West Forge, and that is left over from the Murcielago pullover that I knit and designed last year in November 2021. And then the dark blue is Biche et Bouche Le Gros lamb's wool, which is the kind of worsted Aran weight lamb's wool. And that is not a leftover, that is just something I had in my stash and I thought would pair up nicely with this. And also that I didn't have to wind because it already comes in one of those like, not a ball, but like a pill kind of shape. I didn't really make any modifications to this other than I made the brim a little bit longer, so I added an extra set of stripes in the brim. And then I was running out of this color, so I used blue at the top. It's just supposed to stay in the main color. But I actually did have another skein of the Winnie, Winkle, Wilfred, whatever color, but it was not wound and I did not want to bust into it just for this little bit. So this was a really quick knit. I always forget how fast color work can actually go. I always feel like it's going to take forever, but especially on worsted weight, this knit up pretty quickly. The pattern is very easy to follow. The entire design is like a 4-stitch repeat, so you don't have any long floats or anything like that. So again, this is for my dad. I did make the brim a little bit longer so he can fold it up if he wants to, but it's not really designed to fully fold up. I would put this on, but we all know what happens when I put the hat on in the middle of the podcast and then I take it off and then I futz with my hair a whole bunch and nobody wants to watch that. So this has already been blocked and this is ready to go. It is looking quite big, but I think it'll be extra cozy for him. Oh, the pattern includes like a short and a long version. So I did the longer version as well, which is just like an extra round of the sort of dots up here, an extra repeat of those. So really cute pattern, really straightforward, easy to follow. If you've got some worsted weight scraps, this would make a nice cozy hat or gift for someone who in your family who needs a hat, but not this year because it's 3 days until Christmas. All right, the other gift I have actually finished is a hat for my youngest son. This is the Runcible pattern by Nina something that I'm gonna put right here. She is one of the designers who is participating in the Indie Design Gift Along. And this was a super, super fast knit. So the pattern includes 4 or 5 sizes, and this is the second size, so 18-inch, but actually I was able to fit this on my own head. So it should be plenty big enough for my son. It isn't long enough for what I would want, but it is long enough for him. He asked for a pink hat. Pink is his favorite color. This is another really easy, straightforward pattern. You are just working in kind of, I don't know, I think the pattern calls it like a bead stitch, but it's just kind of like a broken rib with 4 columns of, you can hardly notice them. There's like 4 columns of slip stitches around, and then eventually the shaping for the crown grows out of there. The only tricky part of this is that once you start the crown shaping, you are shifting the beginning of the round marker at the beginning of every round, just to remembering to do that. It forms this cute little X shape on the top. So again, this was really quick. This just took me a couple of days, but it is a pretty small size. And I have plenty of this yarn left over. So this is also Biche et Bouche Le Gros Lamb's Wool. And there's plenty of it left over, so I think I will make him some mittens to go along with it after the holidays. So that's done as well. Now, what have I not finished? The first thing, and I don't even have anything to show you, is that my sister asked for a pair of knee-high socks, and there was no way I was going to knit them in fingering weight. So I have a sport weight yarn that I actually bought a couple of years ago to knit her knee-high socks. And I started, and I was just kind of winging it with like a toe-up ribbed sock with a little cable detail. I was using a US 4, and the fabric was just too loose. So I just ripped it out. I have not even restarted. I already told her that she was not going to get knee-high socks done by Christmas, maybe her birthday, which is in January, but even that is looking unlikely. But I had the best of intentions. I did start it, but that's gone. And then I have 2 other projects that are started, and there's a chance they could be done by Christmas. The first one is half done, and it is a pair of rainbow socks for my oldest son. This is Knit Picks Felici. I only had 1 ball of this, so I just split it in half, and these will be like kind of shorty socks for him. The pattern I'm using, why do I podcast? It's called this. This is a really straightforward pattern. Basically, the reason I bought it is because I didn't feel like figuring out the math to do it myself. But it's really straightforward. It is just ribbed all along the back, and then a little bit of ribbing carried onto the front, and then a garter stitch. So the reason I wanted to go with this pattern is that my son is growing so fast. Like, he has gone up 3 shoe sizes in a year, and I didn't want to knit him socks that he was going to grow out of in a couple of months. So the thing with this pattern is the whole back and bottom of the foot is ribbing. So there's no heel. The heel is just going to be, you know, the rib stretches enough that it will wrap around the heel. And I actually was able to fit this on my foot. It is super short on me, so it'll be like a regular kind of ankle length sock on him. But this way he's not going to outgrow it, and I'm not going to go to the trouble of, you know, these sort of intricate kind of heel that takes a little bit more time for a sock that he's just going to outgrow in a few months, especially because my youngest son doesn't like socks. As soon as he gets home from school, it doesn't matter how cold it is, shoes come off, socks come off. He does not like to wear socks. And as soon as I put the socks on him in the morning, he immediately puts his shoes on. He doesn't like to walk around in just socks. So if my older son were to outgrow them, that would be a complete waste because the little one won't wear them. So I think this is a nice kind of compromise. He gets socks because he's really been wanting them, but it's a much simpler pattern that, you know, it's probably not going to give quite as nice of a fit because it's not, you know, designed to fit a certain size heel, but it's going to slip on and off very easily, and it is going to last hopefully more than just a couple of months. So I finished one. I have started the other one, but I haven't gotten very far. So I've just basically started the patterning. Now again, this is really straightforward. It is just knitting the whole thing up until the toe. And this is just about half the ball. I started the toe, just not sure if I was going to run out of yarn or not, and I didn't want to run out. So I did have a few yards left over. So it could have been a little bit bigger, which is kind of annoying. So this could, if I really get focused on this, I could have it done. We'll see. But it's getting there. Hopefully, because I've only got this and one more that I'm going to show you that I'm trying to finish by Christmas. So there's that. And then the last gift that I have just barely started, but also is a really fast knit, are these fingerless mitts that I am using the leftovers from the Key Rock cardigan, the Hudson and West Forge. These are called the Waypoint Mitts. This is a pattern by Alicia Plummer. She actually just released this a week or two ago. And they're worked in half brioche. So they're a worsted weight, half brioche. They're working up very quickly. So again, ostensibly I could have this finished. They're just a short, you know, there's not a huge long cuff. It's a short cuff. It's just, you know, just the hand. It's not like they're super long or folded over or anything like that. I am making the largest size, and I'm making them for my husband. I actually asked him if he needed any knits, and he said no. So if these don't get done, fine. But I thought they might be nice for him to have when he takes the dog out for a walk on the days where it's cool but not too cold. So he might not necessarily need the full glove / mitten, especially since he spends most of the time staring at his phone. So he needs to use his fingers. So I have done 2 repeats of this it's half brioche pattern. There are, I think, 6 more to finish the thumb gusset, and then it's the same pattern all the way to the end. So we'll see. Like I said, if these don't get done, it's fine because he didn't actually ask for anything. But I thought it would be nice to have something for everyone this year. We'll see. I do have plenty of the yarn, so they can always wait until after Christmas if necessary. So those are pretty much all of the whips I am working on right now for Christmas, or have just finished for Christmas. The only other thing that I'm kind of working on is my Felix pullover. You can see that the body is done, but I am on Sleeve Island. And so I put this on hold so I could do the Christmas knitting. I did decide to do the tubular bind off on the bottom. It took a long time. It really does look nice, but whew, it just takes forever. And you have to, it's so hard to estimate how much yarn you're going to need for the bind off, and you just have this huge long tail of yarn. It's just fiddly and annoying. But I did do that, and I think it looks nice, and I'm excited to get the sleeves back on the needles after Christmas. And that is all I have for On and Off the Needles Holiday Edition. All right, I do want to show you a little bit of yarn that has entered my stash. For a reason. So I recently volunteered to test knit a new sweater design, and I needed some yarn for it. The pattern calls for Brooklyn Tweed Shelter, which is a chunky weight, which I have used for a hat, I think, before. And it's sort of an interesting construction yarn where it kind of looks like a hybrid woolen worsted spun, but it is a little delicate. And I just wanted to try something a little sturdier, but I still wanted kind of that rustic texture. And so I decided to give De Rare Natura Cyrano a try. So the Cyrano is listed as an Aran weight, or perhaps a worsted weight, really. Depends which store you're looking at. But I use the Gilead a lot, which is supposedly a worsted weight, and that is a really heavy worsted. That's more like an Aran. So I thought if that were the case, then this quote-unquote Aran weight would probably be more like a bulky weight. And I am happy to say that I was correct, because I have already swatched for the test knit and gotten gauge. So this is the Cyrano knit on a US 9. And I am really happy with the way it looks. So I don't know if you guys can really see, but this is sort of a pink color, but it's dyed over a gray wool. And it really is just giving it like kind of a heathered look, a lot of texture. And all of the De Rare Natura yarns have kind of a unique construction that's like not quite worsted, not quite woolen. And I don't know the ins and outs of it, and it probably tells you on the label, but it's written in French. I think it tells you on the website in English. But it really just gives the yarn, it's nice and soft, and it has nice stitch definition because it is plied nicely, but the way that it is spun, it's also very lofty, like a woolen spun yarn. So I think this is going to be a really good choice for this test knit project. And so I got a whole bunch of balls of this added to my stash. This is the quartz colorway. The other reason I opted for this is because I wanted to get going on the project, and none of the yarn shops around here carry the Brooklyn Tweed Shelter, but Fiber Space down in Alexandria, which is a little under an hour, so it's not that local. They carry all the De Rare Natura yarns, so that way I could take a trip down there and pick up the yarn that I needed, and be able to get started and not have to pay for shipping. And then while I was down there, I walked around Old Town, and I stopped at the sewing shop and got some fabric, and got a really nice salad from Sweet Green. We don't have a Sweet Green close to here, or is it Sweet Greens? Whatever the case may be. They have really good salads. So a little bit of new yarn in my stash. I have not actually cast on test knit yet because gift knitting. The other yarn that is in my stash is that I did the advent calendar this year from Cozy Posy Yarn, which is a yarn company up in Canada. And it was 20 days of minis, 20 days of 100 yard minis, I suppose, or 20 gram or 25 gram minis, which is about the same thing. And then the last 4 days of the advent calendar are a full skein of yarn. So I'm going to kind of gather up the minis here and show them to you, and then I'm going to open the big final skein of yarn together with you. So I have been sharing these on my Instagram stories, but I'm going to try to grab all 20 minis and show you guys. All right, here we have all 20 minis and a little bit of my own hair, sorry, from the Cozy Posy Advent Calendar. This, I'm not usually a mini skein person, but I just really love her kind of dye vision, dye aesthetic. So you can see we've got a lot of naturals, neutrals in here, nothing, you know, super bright or neon or, you know, anything like that. Just really, really in my wheelhouse with the colorways. And most of the colorways are similar enough that you could probably use them together. So I'm going to see if I can grab a couple that have been my favorites out of this bunch so you can see them. So I really love this one. We've talked about this, how much I like brown and blue together. And then she has like a bunch that are like similar so that you could probably fade them together. Don't fall. Like these, you know, you could probably fade these together in some kind of project. Love these. And then just a couple in here that are just nice, kind of almost solids you could use for heels and toes. Just a beautiful, beautiful collection of yarns. I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet. I don't know if there'll be several projects or I'll try something crazy and put them all in one. But, you know, I don't usually do advent calendars. Because like I said, I'm not really a mini person, but this one just spoke to me and I'm really glad I did it because as I throw yarn everywhere, all of these colors are just fantastic. Absolutely beautiful. And now let's see what's in the big one. Perfect. A brown and blue. I love it. I just love, and you can see how this would go with like all of those minis, all of the natural colors, the browns, the blues. All right, so this is called Darkest. Soft and cozy 80/20 sock yarn. I love it. So pretty. You can really get the colors in here. So maybe in the new year, this will become something. Maybe it'll just sit in my stash and marinate for a while. We shall see. But that has been a really fun advent calendar to have throughout this season. And if you like those sort of really natural, nature-inspired colors, definitely check out Cozy Posy Yarn. All right, and that I think is everything that has been added to my stash. Let's hope I'll get some yarn under the Christmas tree this year. All right, since it is the end of the year, I wanted to give you guys kind of a quick recap of my Make 9 for 2022 and how that went. I finished 4 of the 9 projects and started a 5th. It's not terrible. So just as a reminder, I will pop up, I think it'll be here or here, pop a photo of my Make 9 in here. And the projects that I finished were the Kinnikin cardigan, the gelato tank top, the Carbayal hat, and the Snowy Forest pullover. The ones that I did not finish or even start were the Tiny Tux top, which I'm actually not very interested in anymore. So, oh well. The Magnolia Chunky cardigan, which I am planning to cast on Christmas Day as a reward to myself for making it through the Christmas season. I did swatch for that. I have the yarn for that. So that hopefully that's going to be my Christmas Day cast on. The Hibernation House socks, which I definitely still want and are on my list, maybe for the new year. The Layla bralette, which I do have yarn for, and packed it up with a knitting needle in a project bag. But that is a cotton bralette, or designed for cotton, so more of a warm weather, so I might push that off until spring. I do really still want that one though, it's really cute. And then there's a colorwork hat, the Midnight Soul hat, which I did start. I just got through the brim and I didn't start the colorwork, so that is underway, and definitely maybe we'll be working to finish that in the early part of January so that I can use it. So, okay, 4.5 out of 9 is not terrible. It's not great. But still, I'll do a little parade of the 4 projects that I did finish so that you can check them out. Be creating a new Make 9 for 2023, so you can look for more details about that in the first episode of the podcast in the new year. So it's 3 days until Christmas. I don't know how this happened. I swear it was just Thanksgiving. I have been going crazy trying to do all of the Christmas stuff. The planning, the gift buying, the wrapping, the baking, the cooking, the getting teacher gifts, the doing the advent calendar, which, you know, I mean, it's bad enough that Santa gets credit for everything at Christmas, but my kids have like some crazy idea that Santa came at some point and filled up the advent calendar with candy and gave us an activity to do every day. So even that Santa is getting credit for. So I have been going crazy, and I've already told my husband the day after Christmas, I am just gonna sleep and lay in bed and do absolutely nothing the entire day. You know, I shop for obviously my 2 kids, my dad, my sister, and my husband. We thought that my husband's brother and his wife may be staying in town for Christmas this year. They actually are not. They're going back to Peru, where things are kind of disastrous. But before that, we thought we would, you know, get them some gifts. I assumed that my husband would be able to do that since it's his brother, but I also went shopping for gifts for my sister-in-law. So there's all that. Which isn't terrible. I mean, I know some people have much, much larger families, so I'm thankful that we don't do any gift exchange with the extended family, but it's still plenty to keep track of. Hopefully I got the kids a fair few number of things from their lists, so hopefully they'll be happy. We always have Christmas Day here. So on Christmas Eve, we'll go to church, and then we'll go to my dad's house for dinner. My dad, by the way, is Santa, so I'm gonna just pop a little photo in here so you can check that out. JJ is 9 now, so I think normally he's past the age where most kids are questioning Santa. But since his grandfather, he knows it's his grandfather, he just assumes that his grandfather is actually Santa. So I think that's adorable, and I have no intention of putting an end to it until absolutely necessary. So on Christmas Eve, Santa will make an appearance to read the kids Christmas stories. And then Christmas Day we will have here. Fortunately, for Christmas Day, I usually just do we don't do like a big traditional meal. We do some finger foods and keep it a lower key, but still, I hosted Thanksgiving, and then last weekend my sister decided she wanted to come over and make cookies, and that turned into a whole thing with people here, and I am just exhausted. We've been doing lots of Christmas activities, so we've been doing like making crafts and baking cookies and making hot cocoa bombs and going out to see light displays, and I love Christmas, and it has always been my favorite time of year, but it has just gotten to the point where it's so exhausting that I'm, usually I like enjoy the whole Christmas season. There's so much festive things to do and see, but now all of those festive things depend on me organizing them or doing them or planning them or scheduling them, and that's less fun. I'm looking forward to Christmas Day. All the gifts have been given. Everybody is just chilling, and I can be done and rest. Especially since I am maniacally trying to sew myself something to wear for Christmas Day, which I really don't have time to be doing, but somehow cannot seem to not do. It's almost there. I think it's gonna be done unless I screw anything else up. And it has plenty of screw ups. I'd be much faster at sewing if I didn't have to sew everything like 2 or 3 times because I screw things up and have to rip them out. But it's getting there, and I will hopefully have it to show you in the next episode of the podcast. It is currently resting a little bit. I did quite a bit of work on it this morning, and I need a break from it. Oh my goodness. So, yay Christmas, but also yay the hard work is almost done, and maybe I can finally relax and enjoy things for a little bit. I will tell you about one thing I have been enjoying this Christmas season. That is these. This is they're called peppermint cookie. So it's kind of like a thin mint, but more chocolatey. And, like it's a Lindt truffle, so it's got like the creamy chocolate, but it has like the cookie crunch in it. These are fantastic. I've eaten like 3 bags of these. I'm gonna have to detox after Christmas because they're so good. So they have been helping me get through the festive season and providing a much needed sugar rush. So if you have a chance to grab some of those, especially at those after Christmas clearance prices, definitely do that. They are really good. Other than Christmas, really nothing has been going on. One interesting thing I have been working on is translating a series of crochet patterns. So that's going to be, I think, coming in the new year, and I don't really have any details about it. Once it is available, I will let you guys know. It has kind of made me interested in learning to crochet, though. There's not a lot of there's not a ton of different crochet things that I'm super interested in. Like I'm not really interested in amigurumi or like crochet garments or anything, but I'm kind of interested in the blankets. I have not had a ton of luck knitting blankets, but I know that crochet, in theory, when you learn it and know how to do it and are good at it, is faster and uses up yarn. And I have, a lot of, this is my yarn that I love and want to keep in my stash, but I also have a not insignificant amount of yarn kind of hidden away that is just stuff that I've accumulated that I'm no longer interested in. Not necessarily the nicest yarn, that maybe, if I could work it up into a blanket, maybe that would be interesting. So I don't know, I think that might be one of my goals for the new year, is to learn to crochet. We shall see about that. But it has been nice having a translation project that is something that is, kind of interesting to me, and something that I, even though I don't crochet, it's still related to what I do. And so I can, from the perspective of a designer, I can say, oh, this doesn't look right, or, this information is missing in the materials, or you didn't explain how to do this kind of stitch. Whereas maybe somebody who is not familiar with fiber arts in general might not be able to do that. So that has been a nice project to have, especially leading up to Christmas, where I've been, crazy busy, and it's a little bit easier to translate than some more serious technical stuff. So that is really all that has been going on, just Christmas preparation, and a little bit of fun translation work here and there. And I'm really sorry to say that, well, I shouldn't say that. Last year on Christmas, it was literally 70 degrees on Christmas Day. That sucked. It's going to be really cold for Christmas this year. The high is like 25 on Christmas Day, so that part is fine. But what's really a bummer is that we've been having a lot of rain lately and no snow. We haven't had Ed and Kristen here this morning to tell you that we got snow this morning, just a little bit. It might even still be snowing a little bit. It's crazy windy, and the cold front is coming through, but we did get a little snow. We haven't had any snow yet, so today it's currently like 40 degrees, it's windy, it's rainy. If it were just, a little bit colder, we would have snow and it would be festive and beautiful, but no. That has been a real bummer. But I am excited for Christmas to actually be cold this year, so we can have a fire and I can wear that sewing project that I'm driving myself crazy trying to finish. So that part will be nice. But yeah, this cold gray rain gross could go away. That would be fine. But that is about all that has been going on around here in the run up to Christmas this year. Thank you all so much for joining me for this episode of the podcast. This is the last episode of 2022, and it is dropping on Christmas Eve. So I want to wish you all who celebrate a very Merry Christmas, a happy holidays to people who may be celebrating other holidays around the same time, and a happy new year to everyone. The next episode of the podcast will be in early 2023, so please do come check that out. As for this episode, links to everything that I've talked about can be found in the show notes at mediaperuana.com/Hilo and Stitch. And if you enjoyed this episode here on YouTube, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification icon to find out about new videos, leave a comment, share with a friend. All of that is going to help expand the reach of the channel and is greatly appreciated. If you're looking for me on social media, you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Media Peruana, and I will see you next time.